Howdy, yokes, and welcome back to Bacon and Eggs! My name is Tyler.
And I'm Ethan.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode.
This is a new podcast we've created to be entertainment for your morning commute.
We've known each other for a little over 14 years at this point, and in that time, it's been a goal of ours to never stop being creative together.
Unfortunately, that grew a little more difficult when we moved away, but podcasting seemed like the next logical step for us.
We've kicked around ideas on what to do for years, and we finally settled on sticking to what we're good at.
Since we met, we've been going to movies together, reading the same books, listening to the same music, and having in-depth conversations about all of it.
We used to spend hours in the local bookstore behind the movie theater going back and forth over what we just saw.
Really getting down to the nitty-gritty of the content we take in.
So our goal here is to bring that to all of you listening. It's going to be a literal review, a little bit of theory, and the occasional hot take.
So thanks everyone for listening.
And we promise this intro will just be a one-time thing.
So without further ado, Tyler, what did you think of Game of Thrones this week?
Well, Ethan, I actually didn't watch Game of Thrones this week, but I did celebrate 52 consecutive weeks of publishing an episode of the Bacon and Eggs podcast.
Wait, Bacon and Eggs, a movie lovers podcast with new episodes every Thursday, available wherever you get your podcasts and now on Spotify?
The very same, Ethan. That's the podcast.
That's
we're
the
on
podcast.
Right now.
It's been a whole
We
year,
did it.
guys. We made it a year.
Hicimos.
Feliz cumpleaños a us.
I know. So we wanted to do this special bonus Sunday brunch. This is, we just wanted to take this time to answer some questions, talk about our first year, and maybe adjust the board a little bit because it got a little hecky towards the end there.
Yeah, it turns out we ranked a lot of movies.
We did, and I will say a lot of people ask questions about, what's one thing you've learned over the last year? I think one of the things I've learned is that it's easy enough to rank like superhero movies against each other. It is very hard to rank all movies against each other.
That is accurate. When it comes down to like, is Perks of Being a Wallflower better than Star Wars?
Right. It's
just like a tough conversation to have.
In some ways,
not because it's necessarily difficult, but, just because it's difficult.
They're on different rubrics, so it's tough.
It's tough. It is tough.
This is not updated.
What is not?
The big board.
So?
I'm just saying.
Okay, well, I could do that real quick, but it's gonna change.
No, let's dissect.
Yeah, it's gonna change. Well, so first of all, let's run down what we did this year real quick.
Okay.
So we have put this podcast out for 52 straight weeks. Did a couple episodes to kick it off. There were 3 of them, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was Iron Man, Thor. No, not Thor. Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2.
Right. Yeah. So we did those. Wow. The one really great movie and 2 really bad movies right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
First episode or first week.
I mean, Marvel did the same thing, and Infinity War was rad, so I think they're doing all right.
Are you saying we've gotten to our Infinity War?
We passed Infinity War, but
right. But I mean, in terms of us.
Oh no, it's still coming. 10 years, Ethan.
10 years. Like 18,000 episodes or whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so we put out 55 total
episodes. Ethan,
total normal episodes. Yeah, whatever, dude. Calm down. Whatever. 520 episodes is an insane figure.
Yes.
Because this year we put out 55. Mm-hmm. That feels like so many.
Yeah, it's a lot.
55
Those are just normal episodes.
Normal episodes. We did 13. Most of them were on Sunday brunches.
When else would they have been?
Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Christmas is like a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Christmas. The Christmas brunch.
The Christmas brunch. What'd you think of those movies? Those movies sucked.
What? Elf does not suck.
No, but Polar Express?
Polar Express kind of sucks. Elf does not suck.
That was a shock to me. That was a jolt to my system. Oh my God.
These are bad. This is bad. This is a bad movie.
This is really not good.
So we'll figure out what to do for Christmas this year. We might have to dig into the back catalog to find some Christmas movies that are good, but we'll figure that one out. We still got a couple months till Christmas. We ranked 61 movies this year, Tyler.
I know.
61.
I know, it's a bunch.
61 movies. We watched 61 movies in the last 52 weeks.
That's a lot.
And that's just movies we watched for the show. Like, I saw other movies.
I saw a few others, yeah.
That we didn't talk about. Like, I saw The Meg. We're not going to talk about The Meg.
Not going to talk about The Meg, although The Meg is higher on my list of potential films to talk about falling every day than some others. But yeah, we talked about a bunch of movies. We saw a bunch of movies, and it was a good year. You were running down some stats just now. 13 brunches, 55 episodes, 68 uploads, 61 movies, and we talked about the 61 movies with 20 different guests.
Now, 3 of those guests were on twice, and that was John Negroni, Seamus Gorman, and Julia Kendall.
Love all of you.
So
Seamus will see you in November.
Yes, Seamus will up his number to 5.
Come.
And as soon as we put those episodes out, we'll get a message from John Negroni that's like, hey,
when am I returning?
Yeah. When do I get my trilogy?
Dear John, John, we could talk about, it may be all one episode, but we could talk about 3 different How the Grinch Stole Christmas movies with John Negroni.
When is that? Is that one coming out this year?
Yeah.
The new one?
Yeah.
It's like a prequel, right?
Is it?
I think it's a prequel.
I don't know. John,
sure.
if you're listening, DM me. We had 20 guests. Those are Ben Carlin, Nate Pratt, John Negroni, Julia Kendall, Seamus Gorman, DK, Jonathan Carlin, Carrie Pegg of Nerdium, Chris Mellahan, Wheezy Waiter, Sam Jones, Stephen Pappas of Is This Adulting, Tessa Netting of Variety of Fames, Jim Swindell, Jordan Balky of Super Carlin Brothers, Isaac Carlson of Watso Videos, which, by the way, before I name the last 4, I just need to mention that there has never in the history of Earth been somebody as kind as Isaac Carlson.
Yeah, he's an incredible person. We've had a lot of great guests on the show.
Oh yeah, everybody's super nice. But I've met a lot of people, and like nobody has filled my kindness cup as much as this person. Anyway, we also had Sophie Baker, known as the Bakey, and S. Fun Mayor, Brizzy Voices, and Sam Bowerman on the show.
Bowerman. Samuel Bowerman. Yeah, everybody who came on the show this year it was a delight to talk about every movie we talked about with you guys and gals and, everyone.
It's been super fun. And we already have exciting guest stuff in the works for 2019, so things are going to be great.
It has been a minute since we did a guest.
It has, but we're about to do a bunch of guest stuff.
Do a bunch of guest stuff, right? All in a row.
Yeah, that's how I like to do it, A lot of people like to mix it up. Some guests here, some guests here. I like to do a lot at once and then not a lot at once.
Fair enough. Well, let's tackle the big board. What did I refer to it as in this description? The Mac Daddy Super Mega Ultra list of Bacon and Eggs movies?
Now this, we decided since writing this that this board will be retired today.
Once I hit save at the end of this, it's closed.
And then you make a new post, share it on Facebook, share it in the Discord, share it on Twitter. It'd be hard to share on Twitter, but
I'll just do a Twitch ASMR stream of me reading the names of movies. Number 46.
Do you want to like read the whole thing? Do you want to Do you want to just look at it and...
I mean, I can read the whole thing. It's just I need to fix numbers if we do that.
Well, I say don't read the whole thing. I want you to tell me, here's my proposal. We each get to propose 3 changes.
Okay.
Total. That's it.
Okay. Well, so
otherwise the list is perfect.
Let's set some baselines first.
Okay.
We're all in agreement, but by we all, I mean you and I, the 2 of us. Both of us are in agreement that Dead Poet Society was the best movie we saw this year.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
It's honestly not even close.
And both of us agree that Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is the worst movie we saw this year.
For the podcast.
What did you see that was worse?
Overboard 2018.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
It's a remake, and it was not good.
Okay,
anyway.
Well, for the podcast, this is okay. So this is the worst movie we saw. Okay, perfect. Just want to set that baseline, make sure that we were working on the same level, just saying, we didn't need to put Deadpool 2 as the worst.
Right.
And that you weren't going to make some last case for Infinity War.
No, I think Infinity War, I know you're going to disagree, but I actually think Infinity War is right where it needs to be if you consider that we reviewed all of these movies from October 2017 to October 2018.
I don't understand your caveat there. When else would we have done them?
Well, I mean, if we look at it in 2028, Empire Strikes Back may have aged better, but I think at this point...
Empire Strikes Back will certainly have aged better.
Right.
I'd be willing to make a bet that by October 2019 that you will not rate Infinity War higher than Empire Strikes Back.
I've got one.
Okay, propose.
Oh, I guess if I'm just going to go ahead and propose it, I don't need to write it down. This is a pretty drastic change.
Okay.
I think Spider-Man Homecoming moves up to number 10 from 18. So that would be ahead of Deathly Hallows Part 1, Fantastic Beasts, Return of the Jedi, Prisoner of Azkaban, The Last Jedi, Back to the Future Part 1, and Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Deathly Hallows Part 2.
It's actually weird. I was going to suggest we move Spider-Man to the new number 12.
I am okay with that.
I don't personally like it better than Raiders.
So you're saying ahead of the Back to the Future though?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was at least gonna force you to move it above Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah. Spider-Man Homecoming is just incredible. It continues to fill my heart with joy.
Mine too. I actually I don't know if you know this, we're having a party tonight for the show, and we're gonna have music playing just quietly. It's gonna be scores from different movies we reviewed for the first year, and then on the television, muted with captions, is going to be 2 movies, and because that's about how long a party takes, and the first will be The Force Awakens and the second will be Spider-Man Homecoming.
There you go. Okay, so I'm cool. Close the book on that one. I'm down.
Okay, so it's moving up.
It is moving up below Raiders.
Raiders. Okay, that's fine with me. That puts it top 15. I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I mean, the top 10 is, and this is where the reason we kind of got into doing this list, because the top 10 gets really funky.
Really, really epic.
Yeah, it's just like, obviously Dead Poet Society is the best movie reviewed all year. Like,
yeah,
it's far and away better than The Force Awakens as far as grand scheme, you know, talking about the umbrella of everything movie goes. The Force Awakens is just not as good of a movie.
It will be more visually appealing than Dead Poet Society, though.
Yes. And that's not to discount any of the Star Wars movies, especially not The Force Awakens. It's just like, you're just playing on a different playing field. And that's part of the reason, like, the top 10 is a little strange right now. And I don't necessarily know if it's going to change or if I have a change I want to make to it. I mean, I have a change I want to make to it, but I'm not going to get away with it.
You want to take out Infinity War?
No.
You want to move Infinity War?
I don't want to take out Infinity War. I still think Thor Ragnarok is a better Marvel movie than Infinity War.
Can I propose a change? Or do you want to do one and then I'll do another one?
Yeah, let me see if there's anything that sticks out to me. I might, because I don't want to get like too nitpicky with it and be like, well, Iron Man 2 is obviously better than Back to the Future 2, so we should move it. We should move it from like 58 to 57.
Right. I know. I'm looking down through here.
Rogue One is terrible. I'm cool with that. Let's see.
I haven't seen Solo since theaters.
I can't believe we put 3 movies in between the First Avenger and the Winter Soldier.
That's where they went.
I know. That's just
I
wild.
would probably lower Part 3, Back to the Future.
Below Winter Soldier?
Probably closer to like Revenge of the Sith.
Back to the Future Part 3 is not wearing well on you?
It wasn't bad. It's just like, I think what's going to last with me from that series is the first one. And the other 2 are just like movies.
Well, okay, I don't have anything right now. Let me. What is your next proposal?
I think you're gonna be mad at this.
Okay.
I love this movie, and I think that it's very good. But I think we have overrated Baby Driver.
Where do you want to put it?
I want to put Baby Driver down to 13.
Nope.
I think Back to the Future, Raiders, Deathly Hallows Part 2, Thor Ragnarok, and Monty Python are all better than Baby Driver.
It is not worse than Back to the Future. Hard stop.
I don't know if it's top 10 worthy. Like, of the movies we have to choose from, I don't know if Baby Driver
I would knock Deathly Hallows Part 2 out before I knock Baby Driver out of the top 10.
Deathly Hallows Part 2 was sweet.
It was, and I think there's a good statement to be made there. And, you know, I know you have some questions for later on about how we feel about the list and standouts, but I would put, if you're going to knock something out of the top 10 because you're saying, oh, it's not top 10 worthy, it's definitely Deathly Hallows Part 2 before Baby Driver, for me.
Okay. Any other changes you see that you feel are...
But I will bargain with you.
Okay.
I will bargain with you. We can put Baby Driver below Back to the Future if you put Infinity War below Ragnarok.
You're really moving Infinity War there.
You can move Ragnarok up. I just don't get it. I honestly don't get it.
I think Infinity War's amazing.
Why, though? What is so amazing about it?
The snap.
Who cares? The movie didn't earn it. The movie did not earn the snap. No, it didn't. It flat out did not.
The movie was sweet.
The movie was all right. It was. If the snap hadn't happened, the movie would be nothing. It would be pointless. Absolutely worthless. People would have just been sitting there like, well, why did they even make this movie? This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. This is just like, there's no plot here.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's,
I'm not saying like I hated Infinity War. It's just, I don't feel the need to sit here every day and be like, Infinity War, Infinity War, Infinity War, greatest movie ever made. Nobody has anything else to say about it.
I feel like Infinity War brought continuity and like the ability to discuss the MCU in ways that none of the movies leading up to it, like none of the 20 movies or whatever leading up to it, were able to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because it felt like every movie leading up to it was a movie based on comic book characters, and the discussion could be had about how they related to their comic book counterparts. But then once Infinity War came out, and this was sort of the case for most of Phase 3, but once Infinity War came out, it was like, these are their own versions of their characters, and their source material does not matter.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it is the most important Marvel movie. I do not think it is the best. Those are exclusive. And if this was a list of, you know, most important Marvel movies, or maybe even best Marvel movies, I would agree with you, but I don't think it is the best movie. I don't, and I'm not saying you gotta, I'm not saying you gotta put it below Ragnarok. Because I do just really love Thor Ragnarok, but I cannot let it sit above Empire.
You can't let Ragnarok sit above Empire?
No, I can't let Infinity War sit above Empire.
Well, I tell you what.
At the end of the day, big text conversation. It's like, and I was prepared when we went into Empire to be like, this movie isn't as good as people say it is, and it just is.
Empire?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
It just is as good as people say it is. Star Wars is that good.
Star Wars is. And did you see the news?
About Taika Waititi directing part of The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
I've never been more excited for a
TV
show. I've never been more excited for a TV show.
I just hate Boba Fett.
It's not about Boba Fett.
It so is going to be about Boba Fett.
No, it's about a different Mandalorian.
For the first episode, I don't have a good feeling. I got a bad feeling about this.
Do you?
That it's just going to be, because not even that I hate Boba Fett so much as I hate Boba Fett people.
Oh, the Boba Fett thing is stupid.
People are like, Boba Fett is the greatest Star Wars character. No, he's not.
No. You know who else isn't the greatest Star Wars character? Admiral Akbar.
Okay, so before we lose the plot completely, what are we discussing here? You want to move Baby Driver to below Back to the Future?
Yes. Definitely above Last Jedi.
Okay.
And then we can swap Infinity War and Ragnarok.
Oh, I'm not swapping Infinity War and Ragnarok. I don't want to put that above Empire either.
Okay.
I don't want to put any of the Marvel movies above Empire.
So what we can do is swap Infinity War and Empire.
Okay.
And then move Ragnarok, and then swap Infinity War and Ragnarok.
So put Ragnarok between Empire and New Hope.
Yes.
Okay. And then
because I do think...
Put Infinity War, so that would leave Empire, Ragnarok, A New Hope, Monty Python, Infinity War.
And it brings Raiders into the top 10.
Does bring Raiders in the top 10.
I would have said I preferred Back to the Future to Raiders, but I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just... I feel like Raiders is more timeless.
It doesn't have the, like, Peeping Tom thing, which is good. It's got that going for it, which is nice. But it also is entirely pointless.
Yeah, but for me, on a grand scheme of things, it's like if you... polled the, audience, the general populace. What?
Do you want me to do that?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't. I hate when you do Twitter polls. I hate them.
They always end up in my favor.
Yes, because you lead the question.
I do not.
Yes, you do. And your fans are skewed.
I do it from yours, too.
That's all our fans are skewed. I don't have the movie taste of the average 21-year-old.
That's true.
Okay, so where am I putting under Back to the Future? Baby Driver. That is a big... That hurts a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm talking about movies about cars.
It's not about the cars, man. Nope, that says Baby Driver again. Okay, so we've completely...
We made 4 changes.
Off 2 proposals. 3 proposals.
Off of... we can only make 2 more changes, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Unless you, are like, whoa, hold on.
No, I mean, I just keep looking through this list and not actually reading anything.
I know, it's just like, but I love the list.
But I love it. All these movies. All these movies are great.
Why can't we all just be friends?
Why can't they all be number 1?
Right.
Ooh, jeez. Do we stick with the statement we made about Age of Ultron being better than the Avengers?
I don't know if it is, but I feel like it is a compromising moment of our integrity if we change our mind about that.
I think we got to stick with that one.
Yeah. I think the Ready Player One movie has not aged well with me.
Ready Player One?
I wouldn't say Ready Player One is better than Ant-Man.
I would.
You're thinking about the book too much, Ethan.
No, I'm not. I liked the movie. I enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
I really did. I made this point that it is different enough from the book that I was able to enjoy it.
I don't know.
Ant-Man's not that good.
To All the Boys I've Loved Before is at 45? Good Lord.
Yeah, it's not that good.
I know, but that's low.
No, it's not.
Let's see. Where do we have... I'm just trying to think of movies that I feel like are a little inflammatory. I was going to say we need to lower Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, but that's exactly where it belongs.
Where is it right now?
52 of 56.
Well, it's more than that, but...
Is it?
Yeah, because there's more movies in here that haven't been numbered. But yeah.
54.
Yeah, the only things worse than that are...
Or what's worse than that?
Thor: The Dark World, Deadpool 2, The Incredible Hulk, and Phantom Menace. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Honestly...
That movie was so bad.
Honestly, okay.
Has Deadpool 2 at all aged well with you?
No. No. I never want to watch it again.
Neither do I.
It's kind of ruined the first one for me.
Yeah, I never want to watch the first one again either. But
okay. Ooh. I got a proposal. It's not a huge one, okay, but I think it's important. Okay. I want to flip Guardians of the Galaxy and Scott Pilgrim.
You want to lower Scott Pilgrim?
I do.
I was going to say Scott Pilgrim over Mean Girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, then, I mean, I'm cool with that, too. I do think Scott Pilgrim's better than Mean Girls, honestly.
I do, too. I mean, if you look at a full audience, that might be the case. But if you look at 2 25-year-old guys who really love pop culture and video games, I think Scott Pilgrim's better.
But I just, watching the movie this time for the show, lowered my opinion of it.
Of what?
Scott Pilgrim.
I think there are definitely things, like...
Because
to the uneducated eye, I think it's a generally perfect film. But I think when I watched it this time, after watching so many good movies...
That's what I'm saying, is like, watching it isolated, I was like, this movie's awesome. Watching it very unisolated, I was like, the movie's alright. But I think better. Guardians of the Galaxy is a little low as well.
I do too. I think Guardians definitely can go up.
I would put...
I'd do a little 3-way switch, and I... Are you there?
Yeah. Did your recording stop? Or...
No, I just hit the mute button.
Oh, okay.
I would do a little 3-way switch.
Honestly, where I want to put... I never thought that I would be the one saying this. But where I want to put Guardians of the Galaxy is either right above or right below Black Panther.
It's better than Civil War?
I think so.
It's definitely... I will say this. Definitely more watchable.
It's definitely more important.
I think it is equally important.
A Civil War?
Yeah.
I don't think so. If we're talking about the importance of Marvel movies, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy is the second most important movie in the series.
Because
it allowed the series to become what it has.
Yeah. Which is so weird because it went in such the wrong direction on the second one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that happens. Look at Deadpool 2.
I know.
It's a case
Look
of
at Iron Man 2.
It's a case of them going, man, we had a really good thing here. Let's try way too hard to make it better.
Let's ruin one of the best characters.
Instead of just being like, let's just do it again. Let's give them a different story.
I would have just done it again. That would have been fine.
That's what I'm saying. Do everything the same. Just put a different plot on it.
Yeah. Okay. So
I think. Whether it separates from Black Panther or not, I don't know. Killmonger is really great, but I think it is better than Civil War. And I never thought I would be the one fighting for Guardians of the Galaxy.
I would say of those three, and this is sort of a different argument, Ronan is the worst villain. I would say it goes Killmonger, and then whatever his name is, and then Ronan.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Although
Civil War,
though,
is really good, but Civil War is kind of a mess.
It is kind of a mess. I do feel like it dabbled in what Infinity War achieved better than Age of Ultron. Although Age of Ultron did have the dream sequences that I think are going to come back in Avengers 4. But I think Civil War advanced the story a little more, and it very much dives into the, like, are there consequences for being superheroes thing.
Well, yeah, that and like, the thing is, and we've said this before, you can't look at the Avengers movies as sequels to each other. You have to look at them as the compilation of the phases.
Right.
Because, like, if you look at Age of Ultron as a sequel to Avengers 1, it's not as good. But if you look at it as a sequel to Phase 2, it's really good.
Yeah.
And that's the same with Infinity War. And honestly, Infinity War is more a sequel to Civil War than it is to anything.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I think... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because it's got the... well, it's really more of a sequel to, like, Black Panther.
It's a sequel. I mean...
T'Challa remains a wet noodle. It takes place in Wakanda.
Infinity War is the convergence of all the Phase 3 movies. Like, you have to see every Phase 3 movie to get Infinity War, to really get it.
Yeah. It doesn't pull any stops. I will say, okay, so let's make the three-way switch, and then I want to ask you if there's a film we can raise and where you would like to raise it.
Okay, so we're putting Guardians of the Galaxy where? Under or above Black Panther?
I would say below Black
Panther, okay.
I think Killmonger really was...
It really is good, yeah, and I've never particularly liked Michael B. Jordan, and that was a very changing experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy up, Scott Pilgrim above Mean Girls?
Yeah.
Do we do anything with the Lego movie or just leave it where it is?
Leave it where it is. Now, there's another movie on this list that I think deserves a little more attention, and I don't know where to, but definitely should be raised at least 5 points.
Okay. What movie?
I want to take you to what's currently ranked 32.
Doctor Strange?
Doctor Strange.
Okay.
I would say because of Infinity War, Doctor Strange is a much better film than it was before, and now we live in a world where Infinity War exists.
Okay.
I would say that because of that, it's better than Solo, Avengers, Age of Ultron, Incredibles 2, and would be in the... I mean, then you get into a bunch of...
You got to either move it...
off genres.
Yeah, you got to move it either above Perks or keep it below Fault in Our Stars.
I would say Titanic. I would lump the three of those together.
Nah.
And I would say...
Nah.
Well, okay.
I don't think it's... I think that Doctor Strange would be the separating moment between that and Titanic. Between Perks and Titanic. Because Titanic is... There is something just about the size and scale of Titanic.
I agree. And if there's a film on here that I think we definitely underrated...
No, I think it is rated.
I mean, that's your opinion. My opinion would be Titanic is way too low. But at the same time, I have no idea where I would put it.
I just like... size and scale only counts for so much, though.
Right.
It's like it's not that great of a story.
I definitely wouldn't say Doctor Strange is better than Titanic.
I wouldn't say it's better than Titanic either, but I think you could move Titanic maybe up above probably Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, I think you could go as high as...
No, because then you really start to get into storytelling.
Yeah.
That's what we keep valuing here on this list, clearly, is the ability to tell a convincing story, and I consistently have thought for my entire life that is where Titanic falls short, is the ability to make me care about Jack and Rose.
Well, at least you're able to articulate that point.
Yeah. I never would have before. I've classically subscribed to the school of Titanic sucks.
Well, it doesn't suck. But
it doesn't suck. No.
Okay. So that is our last change.
That's our last change. It'll just humor me, and let's go through it real quick and just make sure everything looks all right. Nothing else that jumps out to you.
Are you gonna go through it?
Oh, you want me to read it now?
I don't see anything else that I would have changed. I do want to make a couple comments on the list.
Can I?
Yeah, if you got one that you feel like you need to bring up,
it's real nitpicky. It's one position. Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl is better than Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Ooh, that was not one position a minute ago. On my list, there's Spider-Man: Homecoming.
We moved Spider-Man: Homecoming, and that's where I think that's when the separation became unapparent. I remember saying that is like, well, Curse of the Black Pearl is not as good as Spider-Man, and it's not.
No, Spider-Man is, and Marvel's doubling down on this if you follow them anywhere. Spider-Man is easily their most interesting character, and that was the case in 2002 with the Raimi thing. It's always been the case, but that was the case in 2002 when they did the Raimi thing, and then in 2008 they were like, we're gonna make Iron Man and Captain America our big deal again. And then as soon as Spider-Man: Homecoming came out, it was like, oh right, this was the most interesting character for 60 years for a reason.
Right. Oh, there's a reason we... Yeah. Okay. Well, now that we got it back, let's do Spider-Man, guys. Come on.
Let's do the thing that's interesting. Spider-Man, I would say Spider-Man as a character, to me, is more compelling than Batman. I think Batman has better villains. I think Batman has better villains. I think Spider-Man, Peter Parker, more interesting than Bruce Wayne. Spider-Man, more interesting than Batman.
I think that I am very happy that we did not rank the Dark Knight films this year.
Oh, we can do those with John Negroni. Did you like the Dark Knight trilogy? DM me.
Bonus points if you didn't.
Oh, you didn't like it?
No, I loved it. Okay. I was like, bonus points if John didn't.
I'd be surprised if he didn't.
But I would love to have that conversation with John.
Yeah.
It's like John Negroni, Dark Knight trilogy hater, comes on the show to defend why he hates the Dark Knight trilogy.
I mean, I can definitely see arguments for 1 and 3. To me, of the trilogy, in the context of the trilogy, 1 is my favorite. As a film, 2 is my favorite. And I like 3 either way. It's good.
I still maintain that The Dark Knight is the best movie ever made about a superhero. But I do not think you can call it a superhero movie.
No. If you put that movie next to Thor Ragnarok, it'd be an uncomfortable experience.
It's just like, it's not fair to either film because you're asking them just to stand up to different standards that aren't compatible in any way.
Right.
It's like Thor Ragnarok, you're going to be like, that movie's a lot of fun. Dark Knight is no fun. None
whatsoever.
No fun.
Zero fun,
Okay,
sir.
so I want to move Curse of the Black Pearl.
That's fine. You can do that.
Okay, cool.
And that cements the list.
I'm hitting save. I'm hitting save I'm hitting save. Obviously, I'm going to come back and edit it because I need to put numbers in. But, like, for all intents and purposes, the list is closed. Shut the book on it.
Okay.
So
now we're going to... go ahead.
Let's talk about the list real quick.
I want to talk about the franchises we covered.
Okay.
I think...
we
I don't want to rank
really
the franchises. We did some really good ones. I think what I was most disappointed out of the franchises was the inconsistency with the Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
In terms of just overall quality.
Yep.
I didn't like that the first 4 had a different director. Or first 3?
1 and 2 were the same director. 3 was a different director. 4 was a different director. And then 5, 6, 7, 8, Fantastic Beasts 1, Fantastic Beasts 2. All
David Yates.
The same director, yeah.
Yeah, in a perfect world, Yates would have done all of them.
Right. Let him cut his teeth on the non-complicated ones. Yeah. Because he had done, like, clearly he is the perfect person to direct Harry Potter movies.
Right.
They are, like, the aesthetic, the score, the look, the direction, everything for the last ones is perfect for the movies. Are they perfect movies? No. 5 and 6 are 7 and 8 are a lot better. Fantastic Beasts 1 was better.
Yeah.
But if you'd let David Yates, and obviously I don't think David Yates was, like, I don't even know who he was.
He wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't. And it's not like you're going to give the Harry Potter movies over to some no name for the first one.
Right. And I get that, but it's just...
it hurts the series. It hurts the series.
It does hurt the series. And you could say the same thing about inconsistency with Star Wars films in that, you know, the highest ranked one on our list from the prequels is at 40, and then the highest ranked one from everything else is 2.
Well, the prequels are bad. Like,
right.
They're just flat out bad. Like,
right.
They shouldn't have been made.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, nobody's defending those. Just that, then that's the thing is, like, there is no Harry Potter movie that is as bad as The Phantom Menace. But there is also no Harry Potter movie that is as good as Empire.
Right.
Or as good as The Force Awakens. And that's where I
can't believe there are people out there that didn't like The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah, they're wrong. They're what we call incorrect.
I mean, it was so good.
They're the people that are trying to be upset about Star Wars.
Yeah. Oh, the Star Wars community is part of the reason I don't participate.
Yeah, the Harry Potter community is great. Star Wars community is terrible.
Harry Potter community can be just as frustrating.
They can be frustrating, but they're not mean.
Mean, right.
They don't, like, attack Daniel Radcliffe on social media.
I don't think he's on social media, is he?
Not my point.
Right. I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah. So... And then, it's hard to even look at Marvel as a franchise, man. It's just such a beast.
It is such a beast. And up until Infinity War, I felt like I said a few minutes ago, the continuity didn't really matter. Like,
yeah.
It matters more as you go along, but, like, the fact that the Incredible Hulk sucks is forgivable.
Right. And I mean, it matters within the series that exist, like the Captain America series, the Iron Man series, the Thor series.
Right.
Like, it matters within those, but on the grand scheme of things, it's like, they're almost hard to compare.
Yeah.
Except for Iron Man 1 and 2, because they were both phase 1. Yeah.
Right.
Like, Iron Man 3 is just a different movie than Iron Man 1.
It's a Christmas movie.
Yeah, and you can't hold the Dark World against Ragnarok. Like,
right, yeah. And even if you like look at interviews from the actors and everything, it's like, it's no surprise to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing when you do, 21 movies with 17 directors. The fact that the MCU has as consistent of a look as it does is astounding.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it is all the same
amazing.
Producer, but
yeah, it's all Feige.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's got a pretty demanding hand in it.
Right.
So, good and bad of the list. What is one movie that surprised you positively and one movie that surprised you negatively?
I feel like my gut reaction to that surprised me negatively was Deadpool 2. But I'm not gonna...
I wasn't even considering new movies in that. I was thinking more along the lines of like, I have seen this before, and I am shocked at how good it is or shocked at how bad it is.
Thor: The Dark World.
I'd never seen that, so I had
seen it before. I saw it with Hunter, and I had a very fond memory of seeing it.
I remember that.
And it was just such a disappointment.
Yeah, it's a bad movie.
And then one that ranked better than I expected. There's a few that come to mind. Return of the Jedi. Obviously, we ranked a little high, but was better than I thought. Deathly Hallows Part 1.
My surprise out of the whole thing was Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Deathly Hallows Part 2 being as amazing as it was.
As really good as it is, I'm surprised.
Yeah. Those are really the two that stuck out to me.
As far as negative, I knew Phantom Menace was bad.
Oh my God.
I knew
that was
bad.
a shock.
I knew it was bad. But like, watching it again this time, I was like, this movie is terrible.
It is unwatchable.
Yeah. It's painful. Like I cannot express to you, dear listener, how large the gap is between The Incredible Hulk and The Phantom Menace.
Yeah. The Phantom Menace is literally unwatchable.
Like The Incredible Hulk, I would probably give like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like a 50%. If we're thinking about Rotten Tomato scores, I'd give it like a 50%. I think that's what it got, and it deserved it. The Phantom Menace deserves like a 6.
It's so bad.
I don't know how it's ranked as highly as it is, honestly, because it doesn't have a terrible Rotten Tomato score.
I mean, it's still Star Wars.
Yeah. That's it. But
and people always blame Rotten Tomatoes for the fact that blockbusters do well. It's like Star Wars movies are going to do well because critics are going to have more people read their blog if they give Star Wars movie a positive review. That's not the case anymore, but was the case in 1999.
Yeah. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes, Star Wars Phantom Menace has a 55. That is generous.
That is generous.
That is generous.
Audience 59.
That is generous.
Yeah.
That's out of a million.
Look at this. If you told me I'm making a movie with Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, and Natalie Portman today, I've forgiven all 3 of these people for this. I haven't
forgiven Liam Neeson for a couple things though. It's not just the Phantom Menace.
No, he's definitely very hit or miss. But Lego Movie, Schindler's List. I don't know these other 2 movies he's got high ratings for.
The Gray was awful.
The Gray was bad. Taken.
Taken was alright.
Oh, God,
they need to stop. They need to stop making them.
I agree. I don't know what's going on. Narnia. Trumbo. I've never seen Trumbo. I'm not gonna pretend I have.
I was like, you watched the movie about Dalton Trumbo.
82%, Ethan.
You have not seen the movie about Dalton Trumbo.
Anyway.
There's no way. I believe that.
No. It didn't even gross $100,000 at the box office. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
Well done. Proud of you. Or is that budget? No, it's box office. Yeah. That's 26 some
That
thousand.
seems low.
28,000.
That seems very low.
Yeah, well, things happen.
I think he was like nominated for an Oscar. No, Bryan Cranston was nominated for an Oscar. That's who plays it. I don't even remember Liam Neeson being in, to tell you the truth.
I don't know. I'm sure he was somebody. Yeah. Looks like he's very prolific in his work.
Yeah. Anyway.
Love Actually, so good.
Oh, yeah,
Liam Neeson beat my dad. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, let's get to the AMA.
Okay. We've aggregated some questions.
Well, I guess not to ask me anything. They asked me like specific question.
Yeah, I guess so. We aggregated some questions. And what we're going to do is if we don't answer your question here and you asked it on Facebook or Instagram, we're going to make every effort to go back and answer those questions just by typing them out. But just because of time constraints, we can't answer every question. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to start with some Instagram questions. This comes from Colby McConney 11. It says, did you ever get tired of doing the Marvel movies? There were so many of them.
God, yes.
Yeah. Phase 2 got a little rough.
I mean, even in Phase 3, like by the time we came around to talking to Doctor Strange, I was just like, I'm so done with Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the end of Phase 2, by the time we did Age of Ultron or by Guardians, I was like, Ant-Man, whatever it is, I was done. I was done with Marvel. And we took a break there. Like, we did do other movies at that point because I was like, I can't talk about another Marvel movie.
But on the flip side of that, after going through that crucible, I have such a higher appreciation for Marvel film that, like, it hurt me to my core that I didn't genuinely love Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp just wasn't that good.
I know it wasn't, but, like, I felt, like, insulted by the fact that it wasn't that good. Like, I left that theater and I was like, I'm going to have to explain to people how Marvel was able to make this movie that wasn't that good. Because I'm known as somebody that talks about Marvel, and people are gonna be mad at me that this wasn't good.
I had a different thought about that. I was just like, I was right. This movie was BS. They should not have made it.
It wasn't BS. They definitely should have made it. Could have made it better. I'm actually interested in seeing it again. Colby McConnell. The ones are L's.
Yeah, Colby McConnell, but the ones are L's.
I got
but yeah, no, I mean, talk about any movie for 12 straight weeks, or any group of movies for 12 straight weeks, you'll get bored of talking about them, I promise. Like, to do a thing like this.
I got more worn out doing Harry Potter.
That's because you just binged read all the Harry Potter movies or books while we were doing it.
Yeah, I was.
So your whole life was Harry Potter.
Fed up And we did 2 a week, and that made it a lot harder than 1 a week.
And we got it over faster. It's like a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't know if I could have done a whole episode on Sorcerer's Stone.
Most of them, we did like a whole episode on the first one, and then like a quarter of an episode.
I definitely couldn't have done a full episode on Chamber of Secrets.
No, I do love that book,
Like,
though.
this movie
Holy
is
crap.
so meh.
Yeah. All right, next question. Goth subgenre wants to know, will you ever talk about horror movies?
People ask us this a lot, and like there are plenty of horror movie podcasts out there.
Yeah, I have very little interest in talking about horror movies, with the exception of maybe like a one-off to talk about like Get Out or Quiet Place, like a really good critically acclaimed horror film. But as far as like general horror movies go, I have no interest, and you will not change my mind about that.
Like I don't have any interest in jump scares. They're not fun. I don't get why people like those movies. And then like gory slasher movies, like whatever. I don't have much to say about them. Like they're cool, you know. The Halloween movies or whatever, Friday the 13th, all those movies, they're whatever. Like I don't think there's much of a conversation to be had about most of them. Is the thing.
Yeah,
and like I've
if
seen
there
some
is,
great
I don't know
ones.
how to have that conversation.
Like Stephen King made a lot of good movies.
Oh, people have asked us to talk about it, and that would be another sort of one-off that I would be potentially interested in, either the classic or the new one, which I understand wasn't that good. But I don't know. I'm just not interested in horror movies, and I don't think this is the same as people often ask us to talk about Halloween movies, like Hocus Pocus or Night Before Christmas, and I have zero.
So
interest.
My problem with horror movies is that for people that like horror movies, it's a freaking pissing contest. It's just like, oh, what, you jumped one time during Paranormal Activity? You're such a wuss. You're not
it's like
you're not a real movie fan. You don't really like horror movies. I'm like, no, I don't. And it's a movie specifically designed to make me jump.
Yeah. On a very low budget.
I got, dude. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
So a lot of the conversations surrounding horror movies like that, I'm not interested in. I get that that's not all horror movies, but those are the horror movies that they've made for the last 20 years.
Right. And there is some nuance coming, you know. I would say,
but there's
now
also
I'm gonna add
not.
to my
It's
list.
like they just made The Nun. Like
Oh yeah, that looked terrible.
The 7th installment in the Conjuring series or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame Marvel for everybody making a universe, but yeah, like I would be willing to talk It, A Quiet Place, Get Out, and I Am Legend.
I Am Legend is not a horror movie.
I wouldn't call it a horror movie, but it's like a zombie night jump scare.
Zombie movies
thing.
and horror movies are a different thing.
It's not Zombieland.
No, but it has more in common with Zombieland than it does with Friday the 13th.
Can I amend it and just put in one of the Cloverfield options?
Cloverfield, also not a horror movie.
I don't know. See, this is the thing. I'm not good enough.
Cloverfield
to
is
talk about horror
kaiju.
movies. I know.
Also, I am always interested in found footage movies, even if they're horror
Yeah.
movies. Like, I've watched Quarantine a couple times, and it's bad. Like, it sucks. Like, it's a terrible movie. Nobody can act, but I still love it.
You know what movie? You did a review recently, and you wrote about a found footage film, and I was reading the review, and it almost looked like you forgot about Chronicle.
I did not forget about Chronicle. I love Chronicle. I can never forget about Chronicle.
Right? I'm constantly
I just-
thinking about Chronicle.
I didn't think as many people had seen Chronicle or are familiar with Chronicle as Cloverfield.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the movie that I was referencing was Project X, but that was so bad.
Oh yeah, that is what you were talking about. Well, anyway, that's a no to the horror movies question.
I mean, it's a soft maybe.
yeah, it's definitely not going to become our primary focus on this show.
No, and there are plenty of podcasts that are devoted to, because there are so many horror movies.
Yeah.
Like in any given week, like most of the movies that come out are horror movies.
Yeah, because they're easy to make.
Right. On cheap budgets, you don't have to have real actors. Like
It's cheap suspense.
Like,
you
go
know? It's like
look through what everything that's available on Redbox, and like 75% of it is bad horror.
yeah, it's whole notes on strings, man.
Yeah, it's like I Spit on Your Grave 11.
All right, I have another question, Ethan. This comes from our friend Isaac over at
Guy
Watso
we were just
Videos.
talking about.
I know, I love him. He says, after 1 year of making stuff online, what is the most important piece of advice for aspiring creators? Here's my thing. If you attend the Tyler Carlin School of Content Creation, this is the lessons you will learn. There are people who have done it and succeeded without following these lessons, but if you follow these lessons, you have a better chance of succeeding. 1, make a schedule and stick to it. 2, work with somebody else. You need a accountability partner, whether they're a fellow creator or whatever. 3, play to your strengths. When Ethan and I started this, I was editing the show and Ethan was doing promotion. It didn't make any sense at all. We switched roles and it made a lot more
Everybody
sense.
was happier. The show did better. Like
Everything went
our
better.
whole brand just tripled overnight.
It was amazing.
Yeah, the episodes sound better. Our promotion is better. Like, we did it because we were like, well, we're gonna get out of our comfort zones, and like we were already out of our comfort zones by going on the internet and uploading a podcast for anybody in the world to listen to forever.
Right. And then the fourth, and I think this sort of is the biggest thing for us, is the biggest lesson we've learned is to ask for what you want.
Yeah, that was actually originally a joke,
yeah.
which is hilarious because it became the best advice we ever got.
Right. Like, this isn't your day job where if you ask the wrong question, your boss is going to get mad and you're going to get fired or whatever crazy anxiety spiral you have. Like,
the literal worst thing that can happen is somebody says, nah.
Right. Like, suppose we had sent an email to you, Isaac, and we were like, hey, Isaac, would you like to guest on the show? We're going to be talking about whatever we talked about with Isaac. What did we talk about?
Harry Potter.
Oh, right. We're going to be talking about Harry Potter. We'd love to have you on the show. We know you've got good opinions. And literally the worst thing that could have happened is he responded and said, I'm sorry, I don't collaborate with other creators like that.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay. On to the next thing.
Yeah. And we had that happen a couple times where people either just didn't respond or just were like, nah, I can't really fit in my schedule or not really my thing, brah. And it's just, you got to put it down and say, okay, sweet.
And that even extends to the money thing. Like, this podcast doesn't make a ton of money, but like right when we first started, we shot an email to Monster and said, will you sponsor our show? And sort of just seeing what would happen, not expecting a positive result, not expecting them to say yes, but they can't say yes. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So we shot them an email, and to our surprise, they responded like 2 months later and said,
not even 2 months.
Not even.
It was like 3 days.
Quick. Yeah, they responded and said, we'd love to sponsor your show. However, we only work with content creators producing extreme sports content. It was something along those lines.
There's a certain type of criteria we look for, and we're like, okay, cool.
So we're not working with Monster.
So
we're working with Rockstar Energy.
We did the whole Rockstar thing for a while. Every week, we're like, what kind of Rockstar are you drinking this week?
Yeah, we're not working with Rockstar.
I haven't had a Rockstar in months.
No,
I haven't had a Rockstar since probably. I think I remember the last Rockstar I had. It was like pink cotton candy flavored.
Yum.
No, it was terrible. It was terrible.
Sorry.
It just ended up being awful. And that was like the last time I had a Rockstar. I was like, nah, can't do it. I was on my way home for like Thanksgiving last year, Christmas, one of the two.
And then all of a sudden you were like, you know what? We're going back to...
I was like, I liked Monster in the first place. I ironically stopped drinking Monster.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my 4 speeds. Do you have any advice?
I mean, it's all on the same lines. The most important thing in creation that I've learned is you just got to do it.
Oh, that's a big one.
Like, you just got to do it. You can sit around and make test episodes all you want. You got to post one.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, is we gave ourselves one bad test episode, rewrote the script, redid the format, changed everything, and said, all right, well, we're going to put this one out. We'll follow a movie, we'll follow a line. We can make a product that is good enough to put out.
And yeah, that's the other thing. And just to build on that is, like, if you're not like an artist or an art person and you never really delved into creative fields, even if you're putting out like a news podcast or a political podcast, what you're putting out is a piece of art. And as soon as you start creating art, you run into the question of, like, when is art finished?
It's not.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Right. And it just isn't. You can always edit it more. You could have re-recorded it and had better mics. You could have, found a more interesting guest. You could have publicized it more. There's so many things you could always have done more, but putting it out is worth so much more than not putting it out.
The biggest mistake you can make is just not doing it.
Right.
It's saying, I'm going to be okay with what I've done so far, and that's just as good as it's going to get, and you put it out.
And I say take an entry-level career position approach to it is, If you go right now and you start working at Wells Fargo as a personal banker, you won't get a day of vacation until after your first anniversary. So you don't get to like, if you set a schedule and say we're going to upload every Thursday like we did, you don't get a week off.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, well, I mean, we could take a week off right now.
Yeah, and I would feel okay with that. But I mean, like, say, Christmas rolled around and we were like, you know what, guys, we're just not going to upload this week. Hope you understand. Family life has just gotten crazy. I would feel okay with that.
Yeah.
But had we done that last Christmas, it would have been a bad move.
Yeah, it would have been a bad move because Ty was going on his honeymoon and we were like, well, we got to replace him.
Yeah, so we had a guest.
Yeah, we had a guest.
But that would be my answer to that.
No, you just got to do it. That's the most important thing, is to get up every day and do it. Whatever it is. Like, it's not your first thing you do is not going to be good.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Like, you can be talented all you want, and that's great. And the talent will certainly help. It will certainly help. But if you try to go make a podcast, the first podcast you make is going to suck.
Yeah.
The second and third and fourth and fifth ones you make are probably going to suck too. Like, our early episodes are bad.
Sucks.
Our early episodes are bad, like, straight up. And I'm not apologizing for it at all. We made the episodes we had to make the episodes we now make.
Yeah, that I think are a lot better.
Yeah, and they're getting better every week.
And I'll say this, I felt like leading up to today, it felt like, I don't know, when I woke up today and we had our 1 year celebration last night, we're having another one tonight, it felt like we went from, wow, we've really grown this thing a lot, to let's tighten our community, and the room just feels so much bigger. It feels like there's so much room to grow.
Yeah.
Did you have the same feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. I never, until last night, I knew about our fan base. I never understood our fan base and, like, what the show means to people.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience, and it truly like, no, this is not the biggest show in the world. We don't have the most listeners by any means. But I don't by any means think that we are unsuccessful so far. I think that we had an amazing first year.
I did too. And we had a goal of, you know, a certain number, and we broke it by about 20%.
Right. And a lot of shows have better first years. And that's the thing, is you can't compare yourself to anyone else.
Oh, of course not.
Nobody is doing your journey. Like,
right. Yeah. If we looked at, you know, Dax Shepard's podcast, he probably had more downloads on his first day than we did in our first year.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, you cannot beat yourself up over something like that. Like, you only get whatever your notoriety is walking into it.
Right. You gotta just get up and say, okay, well, that's not me today, but that's going to be me.
If that's what you want to be.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on to our next question. This comes from Tori from Twitter, but this was on Instagram, Tori Star 10. She said, what's been the most exciting achievement?
That's a weird question. I mean, it's not a weird question, but it's like, achievement feels like it's done.
It's definitely not done. I think about, you know, there's not a lot of measurable achievements. There was, you know, when we hit our goal number, which was really, really exciting. I did not expect that to happen.
Yeah, when we hit our goal number and it wasn't yesterday, it was a really good feeling.
Right, it was like a month ago.
Yeah.
But I think I think this is going to sound weird, but the most translated achievement, like transitively, that has come out, I think was hitting $500 on Patreon.
Okay, fair enough. Is that a statistic we want to share? Or?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
I say that because that meant that our Discord server was of a certain size, that our community really felt like it was moving, and it really felt like people believed in us. You know, that we were putting out a product that made a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, that meant something to the people that were listening to it.
Right, that we were putting our time and effort in, and people were putting their time into to listen to. And then as a result, we're saying, you know, this is a product of value.
Right, this is something that's worth something to us.
Right, even though you're giving it away for free, I want to show you that it's valuable to me.
Right.
And that was, you know, that was a number, I think our first year goal for Patreon was like $100.
Yeah.
Right? We honestly did not expect anything.
I did not expect Patreon to work. We weren't even going to make it until we had like a certain amount of listens.
Right. And then
we went to DC Podfest, which was, we could not have done the show without DC Podfest.
Oh man, yeah. If you're still looking for advice on how to get started, absolutely go ahead and start making your thing. But if there's an opportunity to network with other people who are making the same kind of thing, go.
Like, we had just put up like episode 7 when we went to DC Podfest. Not even. Yeah, like episode 6 or 7. Yeah, because
it was humbling.
It was the end of the first month. And it wasn't even humbling because, like, there was a solid chance that we already had more listeners than most of the people in that room. Yes. But it wasn't like we didn't learn anything.
No, because there was also people in that room that were way further in their journey than we were.
Right. And because we went in there kind of feeling like we had it figured out. Like, oh, man, this is done better in the first month than we ever thought possible. Like,
which is weird because we didn't really have any expectations going into the first day. I think we had like 150 downloads on the first day.
It was 143.
143.
Yep. On the first day, on our launch day. And that's 3 episodes out in one day.
Yeah, huge numbers. I remember going to sleep and thinking, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and it's either going to be like 6 downloads and like, you know, my mom is listening to it, or it's going to be 30,000.
Yeah, and then it wasn't 30,000, and we had to learn to adjust to what it was.
Right.
And all of a sudden what it was started to feel a lot bigger than what it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
It started to feel like important. And it is important. Right. It is super important. There were days when like 6 people downloaded the show.
Yeah. I don't think we've had a 0 day since we started, though.
No, we haven't. And that's and now, I mean, it's been, we had 143 downloads on our first day, and it has been months since we had a day that low.
Yeah.
Like over a quarter.
I'm looking, I can actually tell you the last time it was that low.
Oh, so not over a quarter.
Well, it is tomorrow. When this comes out, it'll be over a quarter. It was August 1st, 135 downloads.
Dang, fair enough.
Oh, I guess maybe not tomorrow. This is showing all of August through.
Yeah, so August 1st. So it'll be over
the first day of First day of
August. Whatever. I don't know. Words and stuff.
This shows August 1st to as far as we've gone.
So it shows last 3 months.
That's what this is showing. Yeah. But yeah, August 1st was the last day that was that low. And I remember it being a long time for us to even hit that mark again.
Oh, yeah. It was until Ben Carlin came on the show in December, like 3 months later.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, so the first year has just been a giant lesson in managing your expectations.
Yeah.
And it turns out when you manage your expectations, it feels a lot better when you break your expectations.
Yeah.
That happened constantly. It's like we had to adjust our goals over and over and over again.
I would say, yeah, it took till about the 4 to 6 month mark before we were able to say, okay, if we keep trending in this direction, we'll end the year at this number. What's our goal?
Yeah.
And I think it was like, if we keep trending in this direction, we'll end at 25,000. Let's shoot for 50.
Yep. And we beat 50.
Yeah.
And I mean, we obviously didn't do it alone. We had a lot of help from a lot of great people, and we continue to receive a lot of help from a lot of great people. And like our Discord community is so strong, our Facebook community, I love those people. Like I love everyone that listens to the show.
And we like, it would be stupid not to mention that we honestly would not be where we are without the support and guidance of the Super Carlin brothers.
Right. Absolutely not. We'd be nowhere. Well, we wouldn't be nowhere, but we'd not be where we are. And it's been an excellent kickstart, and we could not have done it without them.
Yeah. So thank you, Ben and Jonathan.
And everybody they introduced us to and put us in contact with, like Seamus and Isaac and all these other people.
And Brizzy, honestly.
Yeah.
And Tessa and everybody. Yeah. So thank you, Ben and Jonathan. Like, honestly, we would not be here without you guys. Next question. Unless you had a different achievement you wanted to talk about.
No, I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, like, for me, the best achievement was, like, last night.
Oh, do you want to talk about that?
Was just, well, so...
Do you want to, like, say what happened? I think it's fine to just say, give, like, a summary of the evening.
So... I guess they were all Discord people, yeah. This
is the Discord server.
Yeah, that arranged this. And I mean, I don't think that was.
And my wife.
Yeah.
And your girlfriend.
Well, they're Discord people.
That's true. But they don't pay.
No, that's not the point. They know these other people because of Discord.
Right.
But yeah, so my girlfriend and Ty's wife told us that they were taking us out for dinner last night to celebrate. And I was just, seemed like a cool little thing. We're just going out, have a little double date, the four of us, maybe crack a bottle of champagne, have some fun. So
this is exactly the plan.
Sounded like a good time. I was like, cool, awesome.
We'll get the shrimp and grits.
Yeah, we're gonna do it upright. And then we got there, and like Tyler's entire family was there, and my parents were there. I don't have brothers, so that's the only reason there were more of them.
Right.
If I had brothers, I'm sure they would have been there. I would hope. I don't know. That's a weird thing to say. But yeah, so our families were there, and Jordan and her sister were there, and it was just a huge surprise walking in this room and seeing a bunch of people, because I was like, oh yeah, you got us bamboozled, like, oh, it's a big dinner with everybody. And then like things just kept happening, and Discord made us a video, and it's like this beautiful 8-minute long, like, we're so happy that you guys make the show. This is the way you've affected me over the last year. And it was so many people. It was such an emotional experience. And they got us these beautiful director's chairs that we had said we wanted a while back, and it just didn't end up being in the budget. We found other things to spend the money on and to help give that back to the community. And it was just really the first time that I kind of felt that connected to our community, and that it was our community and not like we were an offshoot of someone else's community.
Right. Right, and it was definitely tough early on to not feel like... Because early on, a lot of our listeners only listened because they knew me through Super Carlin Brothers.
Right, and that was a huge... I'm sure it was a huge ego check for Tyler and for me as well. And I definitely had my moments where I was like, man, he doesn't even need me. He doesn't need to just shoot. He'd be so much better if he just did a podcast with his brothers. And like...
But that's not what we're creating, and that's not the show we made.
Right, but there were moments where it was hard not to think like that, but that was early on. I mean, like, for the past few months, the past 6 months, it's just been this incredible outpouring of support.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, last night I felt like we really had a community that we're building.
Yeah, and it's, some of these people may have come from there, but not everyone did. A lot of people don't even watch their content. They were just referred from friends, and a lot of people love both.
We got a new member to the Facebook group this morning, and it asks you, when you join the Facebook group, those of you that haven't joined the Facebook group, hey, what are you doing? It's free. Just join it. It's great.
It is free.
It is absolutely free.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. But it asks you to tell us how you heard about Bacon and Eggs when you click to join, and his reason was, my best friend is obsessed.
There you go.
And I don't know who that person is or their best friend, but we're about to be best friends.
We are about to be best friends.
Because you're in Facebook now, but that was just such a, like, waking up to, that was the first thing I saw when I woke up this morning. I was like, oh, that's really sweet.
I'm obsessed with your best friend too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's an exciting achievement. And they got us the director's chairs with custom. They got in touch with Vaishon, who does our graphics, graphite.vnb on Instagram, and they got special. They adjusted the logo so that mine says bacon and yours says eggs.
And our names are there where it normally says the Movie Lovers Podcast.
Right. And
oh man, the name change cool. too.
What?
The name change.
Oh, the name change of the show.
Yeah.
From Bacon and Eggs to Bacon and Eggs, a movie review podcast. Now Bacon and Eggs, a movie lovers podcast. Yeah. We changed the name.
We did change the name twice.
That was a reality check, and we'll get into a couple questions that ask about the name.
Okay, well, then we'll get to that then.
Well, I just wanted to say that was one of the things at DC Podfest that we learned, was that, like, if you're not already absurdly famous, it is okay to have a name that tells people what you do.
Right.
You don't need some vague, cool, mysterious name.
Yeah.
So that's why we changed the name, in case anybody's curious.
Yeah, we learned a lot at DC Podfest. We started the Facebook group because of DC Podfest. We started Patreon because of DC Podfest. We stopped worrying about trying to get ad money because of DC Podfest.
Yeah. Yep. This next question, do you have it pulled up? I'm going to skip the next question because we've already talked about it.
Yeah, I have it pulled up.
And then I'll move on to some Facebook questions. Nathaniel Millers asks, what were your biggest challenges this year in both the podcast and your personal life? I mean, I've been through my fair share of challenges in my personal life. Since starting the podcast, I've gotten married, changed jobs, and then lost that new job. So those have all been pretty big challenges I've dealt with. Obviously, marriage is a challenge in a totally different way than losing your job, but it's definitely different. My wife adjusting to the podcast took some time. She was not as immediately in love with it as I was, understandably so.
Yeah, I do want to take a quick second to give a shout out to Emily and Katie, both on behalf of us, for putting up with us doing this for the last year.
Yeah. I know why you were upset that I was up till 2 a.m. editing a podcast that 20 people were listening to.
I get it. And I hope that last night brought some kind of reality for them, as well as like, this is, you gave us the time to do it, and this is what we did with the time that you gave us.
Right.
And
not only that, to me, last night communicated not only that, our fans were really there for us, but really that Emily and Katie were there for us, and that, it's been a hard first year doing this.
Yeah.
It's the hardest time to do it, because editing a podcast when you've never done it before takes a lot longer than editing a podcast when you've done it 100 times.
Yeah. The only thing that slows me down from doing it now is the fact that I just don't I don't dedicate my time to it.
Right.
Is I'll be like listening and just like sitting around on my phone, just like, I missed everything that just happened in the last 5 minutes. I gotta go do that again. Like, yeah. So like, yeah, I've got it down to a science now. It's not even something I really think about. It's just kind of like autopilot. We occasionally run into challenges because we are using Audacity, because we decided early on that Audacity was a feature that is like unique to Audacity, is going to be part of our sound. Yeah. Which means that now we use Audacity, and it is a terrible program.
I liked Audacity when I was editing, but I'm also not the best editor.
Well, it's not even as bad for editing. It is just, it breaks all the time.
Yeah.
It is not a perfect situation there. But challenges in my personal life, I've been pretty blessed. I would say the last 12 months have been probably the best 12 months of my life, as far as like the overall happiness quotient of me goes. Because like in the last 12 months, I've done a lot of things even outside of the show. It's like I've been on 2 different tours with my band. We're about to go on a third here at the end of this month. And yeah, I've done a lot of stuff with that. I've done a lot of stuff with my girlfriend and I. I had a lot of fun with my job. We went to the Dominican Republic. We did stuff like that. And then I ended up leaving that job on pretty amicable terms, which was good. I mean, I moved back home so that I can help focus more on the music and the podcast, as well as things like that. So as far as challenges in my personal life, I haven't had a whole lot. I've been very blessed this year that like nothing major's happened in my family, particularly. There was a while where it's like somebody who I cared about died like every 6 months.
Right.
And that hasn't happened in a while, so we're all good. As far as that goes, Kate and I are doing really well. So as far as challenges in my personal life, and I'm not like sitting here trying to brag, I know that you've had some struggles this year, but this show has helped to make this probably the best year of my life, the last 12 months.
Well, the show definitely helps. The show brings me more joy than
most things.
Yeah.
Not to discount anything or anybody else that I do. We're talking about the show because we're on the show right now, and the show is awesome, and I love it.
Yeah.
As far as challenges with the podcast,
I don't feel like there was that many.
Yeah, no, there hasn't really been any barriers for us to overcome or anything. It's like nobody's trying to stop us from doing it. We don't really even have any negative comments.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's been
and that's part of the
sailing.
Yeah, like part of the thing with podcasts, as opposed to other mediums of like online creation like YouTube, is like there's not really like a comment feature on most podcasters. So like it's harder for people to be mean to us.
You can be. I mean, we have the YouTube videos up there. If you want to go in there and tell us that we're full of crap for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, go for it. But like there's been...
go right ahead. I'll probably respond in a way that makes you look like a bad person, but like...
There's been very little of that. Like the only time people seem to reach out to us is to tell us how great we're doing.
Yeah, and that's been amazing. There really hasn't been a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
I'd say really the only thing, I would say that the biggest challenge with the podcast is time management between the podcast and the rest of my personal life.
Right, because it isn't...
There are times where I over-invest time in it.
Yeah.
And under-invest
time. Yeah, there's definitely... It's a give and take, and just finding a place for it in your life is the toughest thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was a good question. Yeah. Thank you, Nathaniel. I'm going to skip this one. Carter Dvorak asks, will you ever release the scrapped pilot that you've mentioned before? No.
No.
Absolutely not. It's gone, but even if it wasn't...
I don't think we even have the files.
But even if it wasn't, it was...
It's not even an episode. Like, we stopped halfway through and said, okay, that was garbage.
Right. And it just wasn't good. It's like this is one of those things where I feel like, somebody might say, I would listen to you read grocery lists. But this is like if I read a grocery list of just awful things. Like...
Like if I just said moist over and over and over again.
Right. It was truly bad.
Yeah, it just didn't even make any sense.
Right. Pixels asks, is there a movie you refuse to do? I've got one. Do you got one?
A movie I refuse to do.
I feel like, there's a lot of movies I refuse to do. Like, I'm never going to review Buckaroo Banzai.
What a weird choice.
Well, I'm just thinking of something that recently became quasi pop culture, but is also just like somebody asks later on, actually it's the next question, how we pick the movies we review, and a part of that is like a movie needs a certain level of notoriety before we're going to spend an entire 2 hours talking about it.
Right. Movie review. So what's your movie?
Rocky Horror.
Oh yeah, hard pass.
That's one that I can see people requesting and me saying no to. I also wouldn't do Nightmare Before Christmas.
There's a lot that I wouldn't do for various reasons, like Bridesmaids.
You wouldn't do
I will
Bridesmaids?
never watch Bridesmaids.
You ever watched it?
I won't ever watch it. Ever. Oh. Flat out refuse. Hard yeet.
Yep.
It's just not gonna happen. And I'm gonna get questions like, what? Why would you watch Bridesmaids? Don't worry about it. It's just really, honestly, none of your business. That is between me and God.
Moving on to Discord questions. Itzel asks, how do you pick the movies you'll review? We just kind of touched on this a little bit.
It's a complicated process.
Yeah, we pick movies we like. We pick movies that are... Is topical the right word I'm thinking of here?
So here's how it went, sort of. Let me look through the episodes. I can kind of give you the rundown on how all of these have come about. So we started with Iron Man, and we were like, okay, we're going to do all the Marvel movies up to Black Panther.
And there was, and that was an agreement that, like, if we get to Black Panther and we hate doing this, we're just gonna stop.
Yeah. So we did all the Marvel movies. We got through phase 2, and we were like, okay, so we've got this many weeks till Black Panther comes out. The last movie we review before Black Panther should be Thor Ragnarok. Like, we should start phase 3 up with enough weeks left to get us to Black Panther. Right. So we had to come up with some stuff in between. Obviously we did The Last Jedi because, wow, The Last Jedi, huge Star Wars movie, came out. Why would we not do that? And then
that was the first new movie.
And then it was Christmas, and we did Christmas movies, and we did 3 weeks of Back to the Future because Ty had never seen Back to the Future.
Yeah, and that was our first guest with both of us, and Nate was a huge Back to the Future guy, and it was just kind of like that was actually a moment where we said, how do we break away from only doing films that Super Carlin Brothers discusses?
Right, and
that was sort of the thought process there.
So we put it to Twitter and had 2 trilogies that Ty had never seen, which was Back to the Future and Indiana Jones, and Twitter picked Back to the Future.
Yes.
And then...
So we did this.
What? So we did those. So we did the rest of the Marvel movies after that, and then we were pretty much just like, okay, well, we just did Marvel, now what?
And we had already done Star Wars, so we did Star Wars again.
Yeah, so we did the rest of Star Wars. We stopped there in the middle and did Monty Python and the Holy Grail in preparation for Ready Player One, and then Ready Player One because we were super excited about it because it's one of our collaborative favorite books.
Yeah.
So we did all of Star Wars, and then Scott Pilgrim, I guess. I don't remember how that happened. I guess we were just like, yeah, let's watch that one. Because there's definitely
love that movie.
And especially more recently, there are definitely moments where we'll be like, we need a movie for next week, and we'll just text each other and be like, hey, what should we do?
Yeah, and like the last 5 have all been like back to school movies.
Right, and so that's when we did Harry Potter, and then we started to get a little topical. We did The Summer at Sea with Titanic and Jaws and Pirates, and then we did Back to School for 5 weeks.
And we just finished Back to School, and then
3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5.
And then moving forward, like next week we're doing Transformers, which may become a tradition for the first movie of the year. I don't know. We're talking about it. But that was the first movie Ethan and I watched together that made us love movies. The week after that, we're doing Wonder Woman because that's just when the crossover timing works. Then we've got 2 weeks we haven't decided, and then we're doing Toy Story for the first 3 weeks of November, and then Crimes of Grindelwald for Thanksgiving. And then to Christmas time, we'll probably do something Christmas related and
some other stuff. Yeah, who knows? We don't have anything planned out past Grindelwald, but yeah, that's sort of how we pick movies. And a lot of it has to do with like, we'll hit up Facebook, we'll hit up Discord, or we'll hit up Twitter and be like, what do you guys like want from us?
Yeah, and there is a delicate balance between, I don't want to say we know better than the fans, because that sounds wrong, but we do know what we're going to have better chemistry about discussing than people that aren't us.
And like 75% of the suggestions we get are not, they don't feel serious.
Right.
It's like, can you review the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic movie?
No.
Like, okay, thanks, man.
I appreciate you suggesting it. I appreciate your love for My Little Pony, but no.
So yeah, there's a couple things we have hard nose on, but like for the most part, there's stuff we'll get to when we get to. You know, we're avoiding doing another big series for a while because we did so many in the first year.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next question. Pepper asks us, what is your most used emoji? And I was figuring we could turn this into a game. Can you guess my most used emoji? And I'm kind of embarrassed as to what it currently is.
Can I guess your most used emoji?
It's not the eggplant.
Is it the like crying laughing face?
It is. It is. I'm so embarrassed about that. I can do better.
You do overuse it a little bit. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, what do you think mine is?
The coffin.
No. What?
Oh, I don't know. You're in like a punk band called Drop the Girl.
Yeah, I don't. Coffin's not even in my top. Whatever. Crying laughing emoji is one.
I'm looking through our texts. You never use emojis when you talk to me.
Crying laughing emoji for me is 23.
I'm looking through. I've gotten all the way back to yesterday at 1:13 p.m. You have not used a single emoji. This is insane. That's a lot of texts for those that don't know. I have no idea. You never use emojis.
You don't use any emojis either.
I know. I noticed that as well. Ethan's most used emoji. Upside down smiley.
No, it is not. But you're close.
Okay.
It is the like eye roll face.
Oh, I should have gotten that.
Ugh.
I should have gotten that. I should have known that.
I do use that one a lot. I do. Who just replied to me on Twitter? It's Matt's. That's name is insert bad Halloween pun.
I love Matt.
I do as well.
I love his new picture. His new Abby. His old one's good.
All right, Pepper. What is your most used emoji? I bet it's either the crying laughing face or just the straight up crying face.
That's probably true.
But I could say that for 90% of white girls. Or the upside down smiley. Those are all great guesses.
So Woodsell asked a bunch of questions. She said, when you first started, did you think you'd still be doing this in a year's time? We answered that. We said if we got to Black Panther and we didn't want to keep going, we wouldn't. But I think we knew we were going to keep doing it.
Oh, I knew episode, I don't know, probably 7.
Yeah, that we enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's like, even if nobody really listens, like, this is therapeutic.
Right.
But there was definitely going to be a conversation about, like, if nobody listens by the time we do Black Panther, maybe we cut back on effort.
Right, we definitely make it shorter and edit it less and, all that.
Right.
But what were expectations and hopes of downloads? Honestly, we didn't have much.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect.
Because when we did the radio show in college, it was a big deal when like 20 people were listening at one time. So I expected about 20, maybe up to like 100 downloads.
We have exceeded everything I could have realistically hoped for.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird. I will say that sometimes when you get like a high profile guest on the show, you get it in your head that like
this is going to be the day.
They're going to tweet about you and you're going to get 1 million downloads. And I can tell you right now, unless you have Jimmy Fallon on your show, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten the right kind of guest.
I'm not worried about it. We've gotten exactly the right types of guests for our show.
No, but I mean the right types of guests to make that happen. I think
yeah.
what would need to happen is if we had a really high profile podcaster.
Or Ellen.
Yeah, but like what we've learned so far is that like people that watch YouTubers like to watch YouTube videos.
Right.
Like, because we definitely had those people that were like, well, this would be great if it wasn't a podcast.
Right. But oh well, no biggies.
So like if we've
exceeded all of them.
Yeah, if we got like Dax Shepard, we would probably see some growth.
Or Joe Rogan. Yeah, I mean, we did see growth with almost every guest.
Oh, for sure, but it wasn't like...
Without fail.
It was never exponential.
Right. When you look back on your first episode, what do you think you've improved on the most?
Literally everything.
Yeah, I mean, our audio quality, our chemistry, our
ability to talk about movies, our ability to be funny, everything.
Yeah. That was one thing I will say. I feel like my knowledge as a film reviewer has grown a ton over the past year, both in terms of like what all there is to talk about and what is worth talking about.
Yeah, absolutely accurate.
And then I have one more question, and then I think we're going to wrap this up.
Sounds good.
Because we've been doing this for a little while. This comes from KT. She said, did you have any other names in mind for the show? I don't remember having any other names in mind. I feel like we came up with Bacon and Eggs and rolled with it. Because it was sort of you just got to come up with something and
it was
create.
Like, Ty was like, well, we named the show Bacon and Eggs when we were in college. Why don't we name it Bacon and Eggs? And I was like, sounds good.
Yeah. The name, we picked the name before we decided on movies. And that was apparent until we changed it to a movie review podcast.
Thank you, DC Podfest.
Thank you, for just telling us it's okay to invest in SEO. And
then we changed it to a movie lovers podcast. That was a me thing.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Yeah. I was proud of that one. Let me be proud of that one.
I'm letting you.
Just felt like the right thing, man. Like because we're not cinemaholics. We don't have the most in-depth reviews always, and we're not the best film reviewers. We're not trying to. We're not trying to pretend to be anything we're not. We're two dudes
playing to our strengths.
We're two dudes that love movies.
We do,
and we make Bacon and Eggs,
we don't even
a movie lovers
I don't
podcast.
Think, I see a lot of podcasts that describe themselves the same way. Maybe not with the exact same language, but like you'll read the description of a podcast and it'll be like, "Welcome to the broadcast basement where John and Mike, two film lovers, discuss the week's greatest movies." And then it's these two dudes that like fake it for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel the need to fake it at all. I feel like when we go on tangents, it's fine. And when we get back on track, it's fine. And
we haven't tried to fake anything at any point.
I think there was a little bit of faking, not faking, but like sort of upping the ante to our enthusiasm towards the start.
Oh yeah,
and I think that was necessary.
At this point, it's just
like,
muscle memory,
right?
Like I can come in and like be having the worst day ever and do an episode, and no one's noticed.
Right.
No one's.
I think we recorded the day I lost my job, and I don't think.
Yeah, nobody's come after us and been like, well, not come after us, but nobody's even said like, wow, you guys sounded like you were kind of down this week.
Yeah, no.
And there's definitely been weeks.
Usually they just say the jokes this week have been amazing.
Yeah. Generally, there's definitely been weeks where it's like, you know, I go to record at 7:30 on a Tuesday after Ty gets home from work or whatever, and I'm just like, ugh.
And then it's fine.
And then it's fine. Yeah. Yeah. He says, howdy, yokes, and we're good. It's on.
Welcome back to Bacon and Eggs. Now, to close out this episode, Yokes, this one was for you. You know who we are. You know where to find us. But if you don't, for whatever reason, if this is your first time listening to the show and you'd like to listen to more, there are a ton of episodes. And if you want to find us on social media, the links for everything are in the description of wherever you are right now. So just come find us and hang out.
Yeah. Ultra big shout out to Vaishon Brandon of Graphite.
Yeah.
Who did all our logos from the very beginning. He's done all the graphics for our shirts, all our promotional stuff. The dude is a true talent. He's incredible to work with. Love the guy. Couldn't have done it without him.
I mean, huge shout out to everyone who has helped us this year. You know, looking at all of our guests, big shout out to the Super Carlin Brothers, to the Cinemaholics podcast, to Seamus Gorman, to the rest of the Super Carlin Brothers staff. You know, Wheezy Waiter, Fantastic Geeks, The Bakey, Watso Videos, all of our friends who appeared on the show, you know, Jim and Sam and Ines and Chris and Julia and Nate and Watso. That's everybody.
I think he said Watso twice, but he deserves it.
Well, either way. Yeah, I mean, huge shout out literally to everybody that's helped us out. We literally would not be here without you.
And thank you so much to Ines and Rachel who moderate our Discord, as well as...
And our wives, who and Emily and Katie, who have given us endless support and
also Pixels, who moderates our Facebook group, is what I was trying to say after that.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
Yeah, Pixels.
I just didn't want to leave her out. Everybody that's helped us, like we couldn't do this without any of you. It's not like we have a staff, but there's so much that goes into making this happen.
There is.
Yes, we could do on our own, but that it's just made so much easier by the beautiful people in our lives.
The volunteers.
Yeah. The people that just literally make this doable. It's been a good year, man.
It has been a good year. I'm excited to do another one. I'm not looking at slowing down at all.
Hold on.
Looking at...
We're doing another year?
What? Yeah. Are you
Hey,
not?
Siri, cancel all of my appointments for the next 12 months. We're coming back, baby.
We're back.
We're back, baby. We're doing it again. Round 2. Year 2. Bigger and badder. Bacon and Eggs, a movie lovers podcast. Judgment Day.
Yeah, I'm excited. And until next time, you know.
Every single week this year, I have been Ethan Edgehill. He has been Tyler Carlin. And until next week, until Thursday, arrivederci.
Años.